permanently. It's not just a financial crisis we're going through.
I'm going to cover Jeff Jarvis here
Huge change.
by
And
video.
it's counterintuitive, it's confusing, and I figured the best way to try to judge that is through the lens of Google. The most, Times of London calls it the fastest growing company in the history of the world. So I tried to discern some laws and lessons from Google. I didn't talk to Google, I didn't want to. Others have written books about Google. I think this is a skill that you can take part in, whether it's Google or Craigslist or Amazon or any of these companies that have succeeded. What is different about their worldview that made it succeed? So these are laws that I think you all live. But as I try to talk with big media and big companies about them, they're often counterintuitive. They're often exactly the opposite of what they do. Starting with the idea of giving over control. That's really where it all starts. That's where the whole social thing is, that you don't control anymore at the center. And that is fundamental. You understand that in your DNA, but our world around you, as we all know, does not. In the book, I go through my saga of Dell Hell. I'll spare you that. It was on my blog for many years. But that's where I really learned that, is that once you hand it over control to customers, great things happen. It's all, this, by the way, this PowerPoint is online. I have a book, I have a video, I have an e-book, I have an audio book, and I now have the book as PowerPoint. So I went online yesterday on my blog, so you can get it. So I'm just highlighting some of the things in there, but it's the full PowerPoint. I think the biggest lesson of Google for this new world is that, especially after the crisis, it did not grow to critical mass by firing huge amounts of capital to acquire huge companies. It grew by creating a platform and a network upon which others succeed. I'm looking at Fred Wilson there, who, when we met Daylight many years ago, 3 years ago, at the end of the session, Fred asked Upendra Sharton, the founder, let me ask you, Upendra, can I build a company on top of your platform? And let me tell you first, the right answer is yes. And that's what Google understands and others don't understand, especially in media. They just don't understand the idea of growing that way. Also the idea of thinking distributed, that we think in media that you've got to come to us. We are the magnet. And that's not the case anymore, obviously. You all know that because you have feeds. My, as of yesterday, 17-year-old son Jake reads more news than I did at his age, but he never, ever, he reads TechCrunch 10 times a day. But he never types in TechCrunch.com and says, what's Michael going to tell me today? Or whoever is doing it now that he's taking a month off. Instead, he goes, there are obviously only 20 here. That's not the way we think in big media and big companies. The requirement to do everything in public is also new. So many of these companies lived with secrecy as their special sauce. Right? And we'll talk in a minute about auto companies, for example. We used to wait for September. Well, maybe you didn't, but at my age, I did. New TV shows and new cars came out. Oh boy. Have you ever saw the Steve Martin and the Jerk? You know, the phone book is out, the phone book is out. The new cars are out, the new cars are out, right? And that excitement is well gone because they're all friggin' the same. There's nothing exciting about it. Same with TV shows, they come and go, like bad lovers, you know? We don't have any sense of that. So instead, if you do everything you do in public, and I think this is a really important thing, this notion of publicness. Flickr, as we all know, defaulted to public, almost by accident. And look at the amazing things that happen out of publicness. So your product becomes your ad now, and your customers become your ad agents. Again, this is obvious to you, but it is so counterintuitive to the way that big companies operate. I love this line. Mark Zuckerberg, I got accused in one review of name dropping, and I did, but worse than that, I place dropped. I mentioned Davos a few times too often. Jeff mentioned it for me, so I'll take the license. I was at Davos 2 years ago when Mark Zuckerberg was talking to media folks. And it was off the record, so I asked him if I could quote him. I didn't ask the media mogul who was questioning him, who was a giant, not so giant now, media company right here in New York, and has been building their own mission movement. The scion of that family begged him. He said, Mark, how do we get a community? I should have a community like you do. How do we build a community? How do we own a community? Come on, tell me. It really was that passion. And such that another member of the group said it was kind of embarrassing. So he was passionate, tell me how to do it. And Zuckerberg's geeky response in full was, you can't. Full stop, geeky stare, right? He came back later and he said, you're asking the wrong question. You don't start communities. Communities already exist. How do you help them do what they want to do better? And his answer is you bring them elegant organization. Most companies, most organizations, certainly government, certainly education, are organizational principles brought to light, and that changes. I'll skip these. And these are fairly obvious things I think that you all know.